Imagine one night you are out with your friends after a college game. You are walking home alone, and suddenly a car pulls up, two men jump out, and they grab you. You are held and forced into domestic labor or sexual acts in a foreign country. Kidnapping is one of the aspects of human trafficking. Other aspects of human trafficking include child abduction, runaways forced into prostitution, or life of petty crime. Human trafficking is when a child or adult is forced into labor or sexual acts without their consent. According to Marburger Catherine, 40.3 million people are being trafficked each year, which is about 1 in every 1,000 people. Traffickers profit about $150 billion a year, and 99 billion of that is from sexual exploitation. 1 in every 4 victims is a child. Sexual exploitation of women and girls accounted for is around 71%. Labor and sexual exploitation of men and boys is around 29%. Multiple reasons for human trafficking involve sexual exploitation from escort and massage services, as well as strip clubs and pornography. Other reasons include labor for industry, construction, domestic services, and petty crime. The internet may be a connection to human trafficking through online advertisements, luring people seeking for jobs overseas or another country with free transportation to the new job site, free moving expenses, and helping to settle them in when they arrive at the job site. Women and girls are kidnapped and forced into slavery of human trafficking. Men are forced into slavery, but it's very rare. Men answer the advertisements for the jobs that are online, and they're the ads on certain websites. According to Volodka Ava, some internet providers, such as Craigslist, removed these ads from their website after criticism and pressure for sexual exploitation. Most children that go through human trafficking suffer from guilt, shame, and anxiety, causing eating disorders, depression, and suicide. Children are also at high risk of STDs, causing reproduction issues when they become adults. Adults also have the same problems as children with reproduction issues. Case studies on 4 clinics were performed. Case studies 1 and 2 were done on clinics owned by the same obstetrician and gynecologist. The first clinic, established in an academic medical hospital, was for women who were trafficked for sex or experiencing sexual violence. Most of these women were between the ages of 18 to 24. This clinic only offered gynecological care, and they handed them down to other specialty clinics to help them with the other issues because they only offered gynecology. Case 2 was set up in a federal qualified health center. It offered specialty medicine along with psychiatry and gynecological needs. This clinic saw about 3 to 5 new patients that were suspected of human trafficking each month. Case 3 took place in a residential treatment program for adult women between the ages of 20 to 30. Most of these women had substance abuse problems, and many had at least 1 felony, maybe more. Clinical services offered and include psychiatry, animal-assisted equine therapies, as well as art therapies. Case 4 was performed in a psychiatric clinic and had been about people that were trafficked for labor and sex. The clinic was located within the outpatient psychiatric clinic and offered inpatient and outpatient care. Many of these patients were homeless, had substance abuse issues, and were females trafficked for sex. These were of the ages of 20 to 30 as well. Men only accounted for 10% seeking for help of most of these cases. According to Reckner Francis, traumatic injuries, unwanted and high-risk pregnancies, abortion, post-traumatic stress, mood disorders, anxiety, and substance abuse disorders were from human trafficking. Mental health care is probably the most needed care for patients that have been through human trafficking and that have survived. Psychological and physical and psychiatric care needs to be offered to any patient that has survived and lived through human trafficking. This care can help with depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideations. Medical care is very important in cases where there was actual abuse. Some of these people were beaten to perform labor or even sex, so they also deal with those traumatic injuries. Sometimes they were even raped to do their job. According to What is Human Trafficking, a few statistics are that 50% of identified victims are women, 28% are children, and 21% are men. 72% of people are exploited in the sex industry are women. 63% of identified traffickers were men, and 37% of them were women. 43% of victims are trafficked domestically within national borders. According to DoSomething.org, it is estimated that internationally there are between 20 to 40 million people that are being trafficked in modern slavery today, going on right now. It estimates that internationally only about 0.04% people survive from human trafficking, and those cases are identified. Globally, an estimated of 71% of women and girls are trafficked in the United States, while boys only account for about 29%. It estimates that about 50% of people are trafficked into the U.S. every single year, most often from Mexico and the Philippines. The average teen that enters the sex trade in the United States is between 12 and 14 years of age, and most of those are girls. In 2018, the National Trafficking Hotline reported that most of their calls were from the state of California, and there were way more cases in California. In conclusion, human trafficking happens every day in our everyday lives, and there's not much that we can do to stop it, but there is precautions that we can take to prevent it, which is don't be alone. If you are going to be alone, have things to protect yourself. Don't walk alone at night. Just be careful about where you go and what you do.